This is another verb tense question, and here we have a bit more to work with. Maybe there's some singular versus plural going on. Both A and D are singular, has and studies, but then B and C don't really apply those rules of singulars and plurals. C certainly not, because that's the past tense, and so he studied and they studied would both be the same, even though he and they are singular versus plural. But then B is the weirdest one, because that's not really a tense at all. That's kind of like the dictionary version of a verb, the to version, the infinitive. So that might mean that we're not thinking about singulars and plurals or tenses at all. We're more thinking about the structure of the sentence. So if we take a look here, I'll read the whole thing. Dr. Rocio Paula Caballero Gil is a paleoceanographer. This means that Dr. whatever doesn't just study oceans as they are today. She uses chemistry and fossil evidence to study oceans as they were in the past. So even without answer choices here, my brain would want to fill in the blank exactly that way. It's just how we need to do it to make this a sentence. So with a lot of these questions about the different forms of the verb for sentence structure reasons, it really will come down to sound, what sounds best. I hope that B sounds better to you than all the other options if you plug them in. Let's just try A for the sake of hearing something different. She uses chemistry and fossil evidence, has studied oceans as they were in the past. I just lost my entire thought at that blank. It doesn't compute in my brain. Now, maybe because I'm a native English speaker, I have a stronger instinct for those things, but I think as you see more questions like this, you will start to notice that pattern. We basically already have a subject and a verb here in the sentence. She uses. Subject is she, uses is the singular verb, so we're good. This sentence is kind of covered right there. Whenever we have multiple verbs in a sentence like this, they're kind of building on each other. The second one is usually in that infinitive form. We can even cut this down a little bit to hear it better and say something like she uses, instead of chemistry and fossil evidence, she uses them to study. Right? That could be a shorter version of the sentence. And there, again, I think it's a little easier to hear that the to version is what we need. Hopefully, like I said, you've got a strong instinct for these already, and I'm just wasting your time talking about it more. But if not, just practice and listen to the way that these things sound. Try to read them out loud. I know on the real test you won't be able to, but you can read them aloud as you're practicing, and then that builds that inner voice that can help you hear it when you silently take the test in school, because these kinds of tense questions are much better understood with a good instinct for grammar, a good instinct for the English language, rather than trying to pick it apart based on rules. I think it's too confusing, so I would hope that you can just kind of build that muscle for what sounds best in these kinds of tense questions.